All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Kuf Chaf Aleph and Maseches Pesachim, the last blot in Maseches Pesachim. Tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, we will start Shkalim. So we left off the two dots at 3 lines from the bottom. HaPigel v'Anoiser Matamis Yadayim. So we were talking about the Korban Pesach, which becomes Tameh and Chatzos, according to I think that was the Shita of Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, who learns that Chatzos is up until then. We learn until then from I think B'layla Hazeh, right? We learned B'layla Hazeh, and therefore when Hakadosh Baruch Hu went through Mitzrayim is also at Chatzos. So we learn Chatzos is the end point, and then it turns into Noisar. It turns into leftover meat. Noisar is leftover meat, which is normally the next morning, and that the Rabbanan or Masakein, that Noisar is leftover meat is metame sedayim, and therefore if one touches noisar, he becomes tameh. He has to go ahead and be matire his hands. Now, hapigol va'anoisar metame sedayim v'chulei. Zok the Gemara 2 lines in the bottom. Rav Huna v'Rav Chizda. So Rav Huna and Rav Chizda argue about a couple of issues here. So Chad Omar Mishum Chashde Kahuna. I didn't explain, by the way, pigel. All right, pigel is something that is given to the Kohen, unless the Kohen shacks it, but he has in mind that either he's going to go ahead and burn on the Mizbeach, part of it at a later date than he's supposed to do it. I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll go ahead and consume it later, right? That turns into pigel. That korban, even before it gets to that point, right then and there, the korban becomes puzzle. It's not a good korban. Now, so one of the reasons where they say metame sedayim is because we don't trust the Kohanim, right? Because of the concern of the Kohanim, who might not be so straightforward. And the other is because of the laziness of the Kohanim, and we'll explain. One says the shear for it to become to me metame sedayim is the size of a kazayis. That one says the size of it is the size of a kabetza. Now, what's going on here? Turn the page. So chad tani apigol v'chad tani noiser. So they're actually talking about two different things in terms of the reasons. So one was talking about pigol, but one was talking about noiser. What do you mean? So man tani apigol, the one who says we're talking about pigol mishum chashte kahuna, because of our concern of the Kohanim. What's going on here? Let's say there's a Kohen who is not so happy with a certain individual, right? He thinks he's a bad person, he whatever it was, and he's angry at him. So what's he going to do? Okay, I'll take your korban, right? Takes this korban, and then he says, okay, I'm going to go ahead and make it pigel, right? I'm going to make it pigel, and therefore he has to be another korban, right? As all shiloh, whether he's chayiv money or not, but if he's patur, so therefore I'm going to go ahead and make a pigel, and then then the owner is going to be messed over. So what's going to happen? So we say, I'm not going to want to make, if I was the Kohen, I'm not going to want to make a pigel. Why? Because that'll be matame sedayim. So therefore, since I'm going to want to go ahead and not be in contact with this korban, so therefore it's going to prevent me from making a pigel. So therefore, we do that. The reason why we say pigel is matame sedayim of the Kohen is because chash dekuna, because we're chayshesh we suspect the Kohanim not to do the right thing, and therefore the guys are there. And man detani anoisar, that which he says anoisar mishum atzlei kuna, because a lazy Kohanim will be lazy if they push it off. They say, okay, I got time. And therefore, I got time, and all of a sudden it's too late. So therefore, we don't want them to become lazy. Therefore, don't wait till the morning. Therefore, go ahead, and if you're dealing with something which is too late, then you're going to be matame sedayim. So therefore, we say, in order to prevent them from being lazy, we say it's tummy, and therefore they'll go ahead and refrain from making it nicer. And then it says. One of them says a kazayis, the other one says a kabetza. So man domar kazayis kisuro. The one who says a kazayis, why? Because the isser, when it comes to isser achila, that the minimum shear is a kazayis, so therefore it's matame sedayim is a kazayis. Or man domar kabetza, the one who says the size of a kabetza is kabetumasa, because normally for things to go ahead and be matame other things, the size has to be the size of a kabetza, right, of the size of an egg, and therefore that's the reason why that shita will hold that the minimum shear of matame sedayim is kabetza and not kazayis. Fine. Naya Mishnah, last Mishnah of the Perek, says the Mishnah. Birech Birkas HaPesach, one who goes ahead and makes the bracha on the current Pesach, right, which is explained All right, the Rashbam brings down a shir k'shom savanu le'achol haPesach. Right, so one who makes the bracha of a Pesach, patar es shel zevach. He paters other karbanos, i.e., the karbanos brought with it, which is the chagiga. Right, and the bracha and the chagiga is asher kiddushim zav tzivanu le'echol hazevach. So if one says birach haPesach, it includes, right? It includes the carbon of the chagiga, right? So as the shadow there, usually normally when it comes to hilchos brachos, usually it's the opposite. Something which is more general can include something which is less general, right? So, but the chagiga is part really of the Pesach, therefore it patters it. So the Rishonim discuss how exactly one can pater something by saying Varich ala Pesach could include the chagiga, even though Pesach sounds to be specific. And Divi Rabbi Shmuel is the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel. So the Pesach can pater the chagiga. However, excuse me, I set the line. Birach shel zevach, but if you made the bracha on the chagiga, on the zevach, lei pater the shel Pesach. He doesn't pater the shel Pesach. He has to go ahead and be mevarich al korban Pesach. That's the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Kiva Iber. Loiza pateres zu velo zo pateres zu. Each one is independent. One does not pater the other one. Each one is on independent bracha, does not cover the other one, and therefore they're not connected. So zok the Gemara. Kshetim seloimar ledivrei Rabbi Shmuel zrika b'chal shvicha, right? Velo shvicha b'chal zrika. Now, when it comes to the korban Pesach, there's a unique halacha. But the blood of the korban Pesach is shvicha, right? It is poured on the mizbeach as opposed to thrown on the mizbeach as zrika. So therefore, zrika is part of shvicha, right? You're supposed to do shvicha, and you do zrika, it's okay. Same reason, right? According to Rabbi Shmuel, that if you say, right, the bracha of the korban Pesach, it includes the chagiga. So too, the shvicha, right? If one does zrika instead of the shvicha, it's okay. That's according to Rabbi Shmuel. However, lo shvicha b'chal zrika. But if you do shvicha, if you pour it instead of doing the zrika, then that doesn't work. Why? Because we see just like the chagiga, right, does not cover. So the chagiga is supposed to be thrown, and therefore, if you do pouring instead of throwing, therefore it does not it does not cover it. So therefore, it would be separate. So in other words, one includes the other, not right. Shvicha includes zrika, but zrika does not include shvicha. And Ladiv Rabbi Kiva, and according to Rabbi Kiva, since the brachas do not cover one another, so too the pouring or the application of the blood, whether if it's poured and it was supposed to be thrown or thrown is supposed to be poured, it is not good, and one would have to go ahead and redo the zrika or shvichas hadam. Fine, turn the page, right? Short top and short amud beis. So we'll get towards the bottom line. I know some of the people have to save it for the Tanis B'charim. So Rabbi Simlai equal the Pidyon Aben. One time Rabbi Simlai was by Pidyon Aben. So they asked a Pshita al Pidyon Aben. It's obvious when you add a Pidyon Aben Asher Kiddushim Zav Tzivanu al Pidyon Haben, the bracha of al Pidyon Aben. Avi Haben Mevarich. The father of the child is Mevarich. Right, the Kohen, he goes ahead and he gives the Kohen money so to redeem his son, right? So obviously the bracha of Al Pidyon Rabban is made by the father of the son. Now, Avi ben Mevarach, the father of the son is Mevarach. Baruch Shechianu v'kimanu v'giyanu la'azman hazeh. What about the bracha of Shechianu? So Kohen Mevarach or Avi ben Mevarach, right? Does the Kohen, is he Mevarach, or does the father of the son, right, be mevarich? Kohen, what's the svara? Kohen mevarich the kumati hanaliyade. The Kohen, maybe the mevarich is a shechianu because he's got some money coming to him. He's got this silver, some silver coming to him. Or Avi ben mevarich the Kohen mitzvah. Or do we say that the father is the one who makes shechianu because he is doing a mitzvah? And lo havi biyade, he didn't know the answer. So also shall be midrash. They asked the beis medrash amarlei Avi ben mevarich shtayim. So the father of the son is Mevarech Shtaim. He makes both the bracha of Al Pidyon Haben and also the bracha of Shechianu because he is doing the mitzvah as opposed to any sort of hana coming to him. And we will, I guess, those who make actually make a siyum tonight. I sent the invitation to the chat just moments ago before I got on. Also, we make a siyum tonight, the yard site for Dudi's father. Tonight, one of your yard site also a point of being Messiahim, all of Shas. So Mazel Tov to Dudi on 7.5 years of being in the Shir. of providing us coffee and creamer and other things. And I guess those of you who will not attend, I think many people will hear this siyum on Thursday, probably because every show will probably have a siyum on Pesachim. So I will stop here. So tonight I sent the invitation. I would love to see.
Mazel tov, mazel tov.
Are you going to Zoom it tonight?
We'll find out.
No, we can't hear you.
Mazel tov, mazel tov.
I'll text.